What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back for part 2 of our Soulbow series. As you can see on my screen, I have our first Soulbow that we had concepted out in the first video. We named him Leoric Spirit Main. Absolutely awesome name with the help of chat helping us out on Twitch. So heads up, we are live on Twitch now. I'm going to start doing some of these YouTube videos, recording them while streaming on Twitch, because already it has paid off creatively to have somebody else in chat throwing ideas at you, throwing knowledge of the game and lore that I wasn't aware of at me. So it really helped. So this was our first one. We did the Leonin-inspired, Manticore-inspired Soulbow, Leoric Spirit Main. We said he was a divine predator, used the bow. It was awesome. It was a really good time doing it. Check out the video. I had a lot of fun with it. If you do like the videos, come check us out on Twitch. It is Meatloaf Media on Twitch. Drop us a follow and come and join us in for some of these recordings. I would love nothing more than to have a bunch of people in here concepting ideas. Okay, so let's move on to our part 2 of the Soulbeard of our Soulbow. And I said Soulbeard because we had chosen a Dunir as our race for the second one. You know, and we thought, in the first video I talked about it, the difference from a character concept idea with bow and crossbow. Crossbow feeling more engineered, more mechanically inclined, maybe from a whole different culture or city situation, because they are more advanced in their engineering. And for that, and for being a Soulbow's secondary class as cleric, when you think engineering and you think cleric, two things come to mind. Dwarves and gnomes. Gnomes aren't an option, so we are here with the dwarves, and we are here with the Dunir. One of the dwarfs that you can pick in Ashes of Creation. The other one is we did a video on too, because we used them in one of our cultist videos, and they are more of that island, free roaming the world, wayfinder kind of situation. But these are your traditional fantasy in the mountain forges, stoic tradition forge in the mountains dwarves. So that's what we're going for. So think, in this situation, think heavier, maybe heavier armor. We're going to use a crossbow, and we're going to do a female. So we're, sorry, we're already on the crossbow, right? And then cleric. So they talk about the Dunir not only being forging strong warhammers, but I'm thinking using metal to form these great crossbows, you know, more accurate, better bolts, and then they're really into jewelry as well. So I'm thinking of this like well-adorned crossbow. With that secondary cleric, right? Maybe the gem represents whatever the religion is, or maybe the gem or the gems or the adornments, silver or gold and gems line this crossbow, because it is now like the last time we said that. Speaking to cleric on our last Soulbow, we talked that it could have just been an interaction with a divine being or just a more powerful being, and that's where they got their divine powers. Well, in this situation, I think we really lean into the cleric, the spokesperson of a religion, or the footman of a religion, and we really lean into that for our female dwarf, and we give her that really cleric feel. And I think making her crossbow, because she's a ranger first, making that crossbow like very adorned as though it was like a religious item would be super cool. So that's kind of where I'm at with our so far. And I keep referring to our female because I haven't come up with a name yet. So I did a quick Google, right? And I looked up female dwarf names, which are apparently way more abundant than one would assume. And right at the beginning, it was Aiden is a female dwarf name, Spanish origin, that means powerful. Perfect. All about powerful women, all about powerful dwarf women. So let us do this. So we're going to make her first name Aiden. And then similar to the last one we came up with Spirit Main. Main being for the lion aspect, spirit cleric. So then we've got Aiden. So she's going to be a cleric or a priestess of some sort of Ashen. Ashen's a good name too. I like that. Ash could also be considered something to do with a cleric, similar to Catholicism. They have an Ash Wednesday, and they use it as a symbol. So we could use Ash as well in the last name. We could use something to do with adornments and jewelry, something to do with being a hunter or a ranger. I apologize. And then cleric, and then the name is Soulbow. This time being a crossbow. Like, what if we did Aiden Ashenbow? That seems kind of neat. That's like, now this is how weird I get when it comes to the names. Like, so we suggested Ashen in chat, and then I took the idea of Ash from Ashen for the religious aspects of a particular religion, this time being Catholicism. So that kind of gives me that cleric feel, right? Kind of covers the cleric religious basis. And then bow, it's a ranger, right? Bow, crossbow, whatever the hell you want it to be. Boom. Aiden Ashenbow, our female dwarven Soulbow. That's kind of dope. That came together really well with the help of chat. Another reason why you need to come into Twitch chat, YouTube. Come hang out. I'm usually an early morning streamer, like 9:30 till I'm done. Maybe 12, maybe 1, or maybe I just wrap it up at 11 or 11:30. So I don't do it for long, so you don't have to worry about that. But just being in here helping me concept things out is just a lot of help. Creativity is fun on its own, but when you have other people to deal with and talk to, I think it just spurs the creativity and produces better ideas. So already, for our second Soulbow, we have our female Dunir, Soulbow, which is Ranger first, Cleric secondary. And her name is going to be Aiden Ashenbow. And she's going to use a crossbow. That was a choice we made. Because from a flavor standpoint, crossbow makes so much sense with a dwarf, more engineering, more ranged weapons. And then we said we could well adorn a crossbow, which a crossbow, again, is a larger canvas than a bow. Usually there's more surface area that she could put religious symbols or jewelry, such as like gold and silver and gems, which plays directly into what a Dunir likes to do. Craft weapons, crafting in general, as well as it says particularly right here that they love to make beautiful gems for their royalty, are all in their repertoire. So I think it makes totally sense for this crossbow to be treated as her like weapon of religion, dishing out. I mean, is she fanatical? You know, is she like a fanatical? I'm dishing out, insert dwarven god names here, punishment through my holy crossbow. So that would be kind of cool. And again, just so we can keep track when we're going through story, we are a ranger first, and then cleric second. And with this one, what we're going to do is we're going to do a life augment. So in case you don't know what that is, when you select cleric as your secondary class at level 25 in Ashes of Creation, seems like you can select a life augment or a death augment. Life being obviously healing, potentially buffs, or getting rid of bad juju, getting rid of bad debuffs, and then death, again, assuming being draining life or debuffs or what have you. Okay, so now I've got this really like in my head. She looks awesome. Heavier plate mail, maybe not plate mail. Plate mail might be too much. Like chain mail, like some kind of medium armor, right? Dwarven lady, beautiful beard, huh? Maybe blonde hair, braided. This crossbow, that's this huge two-handed crossbow, adorned with golden leafing and gems, just glowing with that life augment, with that cleric, with that divine power. But she's a ranger first, so she's known, she's hunted in the caves, or maybe she's hunted in the mountain. And this is going out is her first adventure outside of the mountain. Perhaps she's been raised as a hunter her whole life, in the cave, maybe eradicating. This is always a cool concept I'd like to use for characters, is that what if our ranger in society was an exterminator, right? So her job was literally pest control, but when you live in a fantasy world in a fucking mountain, your pest controls are as big as your dwarves or bigger. So like her whole profession could have been, I like it. We're going to go that way because I think it's hilarious. So she was an exterminator in the Dwarven City. So she was a ranger, right? So she's hunting down these vermin or these pests, which, thanks Fantasy World, rats as big as I am. Giant reptiles or insects or what have you, giant. And she's hunting them down. So she's a ranger. So she started using her crossbow first. That's how she did. She would track them. She would hunt them. She would kill them, capture them, whatever. For bits and pieces, for parts, for meat, maybe depending on whatever. And she's primarily stuck in the mountain the whole time. Then come a event where she becomes more open to maybe a popular religion in the Dwarven City. And she's like, oh man, I can really dig this. This is it. I found my place. and she keeps going and going, and then she just eventually gets that divine interaction, and she becomes a cleric with the life augment. And then she starts adorning her crossbow. Perhaps flavor-wise, it starts off with just a symbol she carves on the front of it. Or maybe she makes it out of metal and adorns it on the front. And then as she proceeds and she becomes more a part of this religion and this cleric, and she just comes into her own as a character, as a person, as a dwarf, she begins to adorn that crossbow the way we kind of concepted out in the beginning. It becomes to get more gold leafing. All right, so we have like Bochi in chat on Twitch that is like a Tolnar diehard. So I said they were big vermin, and she's hunting them, and they're like, yeah, they were big ass rats, but they were also Tolnar children. So now she feels bad and wants to heal and not hurt others. She decided to join the Tolnar version of PETA. So, you know, so she goes through it, and the more she develops as a character, she starts to adorn this crossbow to where as she proceeds or in the game level up, you get various crossbows. So obviously this is all flavor, right? And just a news flash for anybody who's here. These are all like flavored role-playing character built characters. I know that a lot of this probably won't carry over to the game. However, really leaning into the character creation and the role-playing aspect and personalities and backstories really is what drives me to get characters to max level. It just is. And interact with the world in general. It makes me more eager to interact with the world that Intrepid Studios has created for Ashes of Creation. It makes me want to interact with the lore. It makes me want to interact with all the different races and the goals. It makes me want to interact with all of that more if I have a really solid support system. And by that I mean like a story, a backstory that's driven, a flavor of the character, an idea, an arc in my head. So as the character proceeds or progresses, so in the sense of the game levels up, she would then adorn her crossbow more and more until it became this just visual piece, this visual representation of her dedication to the religion and the cleric. And I think that's a really cool idea for a Soulbow, right? Especially with the life augment. So you got to think, man, with just this Soulbow, talking it out, how Aiden would have grown up, and we kind of went fun with it and said she was an exterminator and everything. What server am I going to? I'm going to be real with you. I got no damn idea. So I knew about Ashes of Creation when it first came out. Sorry, YouTube. Like I said, I'm live in Twitch chat because I love interacting with people. So a little segue here. If you want to fast forward 30 seconds, 60 seconds, I'll be right back into the Soulbow. I don't know. If I'm just going for server performance, probably NA East because I'm on the East Coast. However, yeah, probably East. That's really it. I don't have any ties to any servers. None of my friends all my friends are on the East Coast, up and down it. So probably NA East is probably where I'll be. So, Exterminator, and then we had fun with it, right? And then we took it into how she would eventually, in the Dwarven City, would come upon the various religions, or maybe there's only one. And then once she's part of that cultural religion, that she gets to be in it, and she finds that divine interaction, and she becomes a cleric. And then through that cleric, the life augment, and then she officially becomes Aiden Ashenbow, or Ashenbow, however you want to pronounce it. I like bow because, again, ranger. To sum up what we just said, and then remember we came up with Aiden because it was a fun female dwarf name that's Spanish for strong, and then Ashenbow. Ashen was a suggestion out of Twitch chat, and I liked it because ash kind of gave an homage to like Catholicism where they use ash, and it may not really be an homage, but it just made me think of it in cleric, religion, ash, and I just took with it, and then we added bow on the end because, hello. And so then we have Aiden Ashenbow. So, pretty dope. Like, we just spit out two drastically different Soulbows. So from a flavor profile, hold on, let's save this so that I can do, and we said Ashen, nope, wrong, Aiden Ashenbow, right? Okay, so we made two drastically different Soulbows. Let's go ahead and pick up our boy. Nope, wrong one. Bam. So, like I like to point out, guys, when you play different archetypes, or you and your friends can play the same archetype, the same class, and have two drastically fucking different characters. Like, just look right here in the time it took to do 2 videos, and again, I'm live in Twitch chat getting a lot of help, is we came up with 2 drastically different Soulbows, right? So we came up with our Tolnar Soulbow first, Leonin inspired, Manticore inspired, Ranger primary, Cleric secondary, and we said Death Augment. We gave him a cool ass name, Leoric Spirit Main. He uses a bow. If you check out the previous video, we talk about how a bow affected our design choices when it came to the character's backstory. Said he was a divine predator. I like to give nicknames to people. And then, so he feels more like in the woods, out of the bushes, maybe like a darker, more savage aesthetic. Soulbow, again, that predator vibe from the dark, from the shadows, just taking people down, and just his sheer, just physical predator whole aesthetic. I mean, you got to think lions and reptiles, like fucking freaky as shit, right? And his cleric and his death augment was more of an interaction with a divine being opposed to a religion. Then we come to this video where we created the female Dunir Soulbow. So Aiden Ashenbow is this more cleric. We're leaning more into the cleric on this one. She's this hunter that grew up as like an exterminator of the mountains and the mining tunnels. And she grew up, and then she has that interaction with the religion, and she starts to get that cleric feel, right? Level 25. She picks that cleric secondary class, that life-giving, that life augment, and she leans into adorning that crossbow. And she's more of a symbol of what a Soulbow would be, like more of like a charismatic symbol, you know, nice adorned armor, big adorned crossbow, jewels, and gold leafing, and beautiful dwarf with a beautiful beard, because we love Intrepid Studios and their bearded women. And, you know, and so we get this cool, more charismatic, holy symbol of a Soulbow, opposed to like our savage from the shadows predator of a Soulbow. And, drastically different. Again, emphasizing that even if you want to play the same class as a friend, you can have essentially dramatically different characters. And what's beautiful about what Intrepid Studios has done or is trying to do is that your Dwarven Soulbow and your Tolnar Soulbow will have different aesthetics even if they're wearing the same armor. Their armor will have a slightly different aesthetic depending on what race you are. As well as some of your abilities will have slightly different effects on them. Maybe it's a coloration, maybe it's a sound effect, maybe, I'm not entirely sure, but they said that the race that you choose will have an effect to a small extent on your abilities, because they want people playing the same class with different races to have that feeling of being unique and being slightly different. So just for our sake, developing 2 Soulbows with drastically different concepts, backstories, ideas, aesthetics, just from an RP standpoint, which again is the focus of the channel. So if you're not into RP, my bad, see you later, nice knowing you. However, this is just a lot of fun, and thanks to Intrepid Studios really leaning into your race and the choices you make in character creation impacting the way that your MMORPG character interacts with their lore, interacts with their world, their systems, their video game systems, their people in just everything. Interacts with everything. The whole entire world of Ashes of Creation. It's awesome. And I had a lot of fun doing it. Now, one thing I just realized that we have not done is given Aiden a cool little tagline or a cool thing like we did Leoric, where we gave him Divine Predator. So we could call her like the Adorned Hunter, or the kind of like it, I'm thinking like jewelry. I'm thinking like all the cool clerical holiness that you would find. You could say holy or divine, but I've used divine before. The Adorned Hunter seems nice. Seems easy, seems clean. I think it makes sense. Her being she hunts and she is adorned in jewelry and fine. Maybe that's her. Maybe that's like a flaw or another character feature, is that she is very into just really looking good. Why not? Why couldn't she be? Sure. Her beard is always silky smooth and well braided and well taken care of. Maybe she's way into making sure her armor is shiny and adorned, and her crossbow is a symbol of her clerical power and she's all about it. So I think the Adorned Hunter works great. I do. And that's it. That's Aiden Ashenbow, the Adorned Hunter, the female Dunir Soulbow. That's it. Man, thanks, guys. That was Jewel. Yo. Breaks. Twitch chat coming in hot. Check this out, YouTube. Jewel of the Mountain. Oh. We're going to put an S. Jewel of the Mountains. Take that scale up. Love it. Shout out to Bochi and Twitch chat for coming up with an absolute banger of a name. Aiden Ashenbow, the Jewel of the Mountains. Hot. Hot and spicy. Love it. YouTube, if you have another idea, or if you just want to do some shout outs for a badass name like Aiden Ashenbow, Jewel of the Mountains, throw it down there. Like the channel, like the video, do something, or come check us out on Twitch, man. We've had a couple people show up, only 1 or 2 interacting. It's a lot of fun. I know it's unique. You may be into Ashes of Creation, but not into role-playing hard. I get it. Or maybe you're into role-playing and not into Ashes of Creation. Just come on in. It is absolutely awesome. I love interacting and creating characters, and I'm so excited to have you here on this journey. So guys, thanks again for stopping in on the YouTube channel and checking it out. I hope you guys have a great day. Yeah, have a good day.